but not when we have a new intro coming.
Yes, soon, hopefully.
Teaser alert. Go ahead, boy.
Soon,
Light your fire.
soon enough.
You had a fire lit, and I want to hear it.
Okay. Here's a question for everybody. Do two wrongs ever make a right? And I know that this question probably gets asked a lot, but and so I was thinking about it, and I came up with some absurd answers to that, where like two wrongs could possibly make a right, but it was a hot discussion topic the other day, and somebody pulled examples from Google, and it was totally false in my eyes of when two wrongs make a right, because it seems like all of these examples is just two wrongs. Like there's no right about it. It's just circumstantial. Like what is I guess like I guess the bigger question would be like, what does wrong and right mean to you when you're doing these things, or just in general?
Well, you were kind of naming off some of the examples a little bit ago. To be honest with you, like the only thing that comes to my mind when you're naming off kind of what's happening, or the two wrongs, so to speak, is I'm like, in my mind, I'm wondering, like, so if this is the case and this is the cycle, then when do the wrongs stop?
Right.
And when do you ever get it right?
Yeah, so I'll read just a couple of the examples from the internet. This is what Google says is an example of when two wrongs make a right.
Google it.
One of them is, Marie made fun of Sarah's shoes yesterday. Today, Sarah makes fun of Marie's haircut and tells her teacher that it should be okay because of what Marie did yesterday. And then another one is, a father tells his son not to hit others, but that if they hit him first, it's okay.
That is like my most disliked example of a lot of different scenarios. I can't stand that.
Right.
I mean, I get it, but I'm like, what are you encouraging?
Right. And so to dive in, so the first one was just no. That if somebody tells you that you're a piece of shit, and then you tell them they're a piece of shit, it doesn't make it right. If somebody insults you and makes you feel bad, and then you turn around and insult them and make them feel bad, where's the right in that? Sometimes I feel like I'm crazy when I read stuff like this, because, like, to me, that's just two people saying unnecessary things and being dicks to each other for no reason. There's nothing right about it. Just because someone does something to you that's not right doesn't mean that if you then have the permission, or whatever, to do something wrong back to that person. And if that is the case, well then, like, stop. Like, why do people feel the need to be shitty people? If somebody's not a fan of you and they want to be shitty to you, great, that's fine. But that doesn't mean that you have to turn around and be a fucking dick back. And even if you do, it doesn't make it right. You're just being a dick to this person that was being a dick. And so, to me, there's nothing right about that. Because what I would do is just either not say anything back. Like, why intentionally try to hurt someone's feelings just because they did it to you? Instead, you could just move on with your life and just forget about it. Like, you don't have to have that person in your life if you don't want to. But, and then, like, the other example, a father tells his son not to hit others, but if they hit him first, it's okay. Well, sure. I mean, there's like a self-defense aspect of, if you're getting the shit kicked out of you, you shouldn't just fucking curl up in a ball and take it.
Right.
But just because somebody hits you, it doesn't necessarily make it right to hit them back. It's just it's still a violent act. The whole situation, being in a physical altercation with somebody, isn't right, no matter which way you look at it. It's a thing that shouldn't be happening.
Mm-hmm.
It's a wrong thing. So, it makes you even. Like, that's a thing. If somebody insults you and you insult them back, well, now you're even, right? And you got your revenge, or you got your comeback or whatever. And if somebody hits you and you hit them back, well, then boom, you guys are square. But
It never stops there.
yeah, and does that make it right? I don't think so.
No. It's funny. Now that you're talking about it, I'm thinking to myself, I actually just had a similar discussion with Devlin about this. Just probably about like certain examples that have happened in like road rage and just shit like that is like, at what point in time, and I understand the rage part of a lot of this, people just don't acknowledge the fact that they're just super angry,
Yeah.
and then at some point, for some reason, they stop acknowledging consequences, which
Yeah.
which also blows my mind, because as like, I'm not like a fucking genius by any means, by any stretch of the imagination am I above average, but I have this capability of recognizing the fact that if I continue to act on any further, then there's going to be consequences that I probably don't want to fucking deal with.
Yeah.
And I think that stands for a lot of the situations you're talking about as well.
Well, especially nowadays with driving, people
Right.
are fucking shooting people for cutting them off and shit.
There's been
Like,
4 road rage deaths in the last month.
that's insane.
That is absolutely insane.
I gave up road rage a long time ago. Because so I sort of came to this realization that there's a couple types of reactions that you can have to certain things. You believe it or not, I mean, you have a choice to how you're going to react to something, and also the opposite way. Like, when you say something to somebody and you don't have the intention of that thing being negative, but the person takes it negatively, well, it's not on you, because you didn't. That wasn't your intention. Now, if you say you're fat and ugly, and you're in your brain, you're like, whoa, my intention's not to hurt you. I'm just being honest, man. You've lost it.
You look like a shithouse.
Then that's a different story. But if you just ask a question or you say something, and they take it offensively, or they take it the wrong way and it offends them, then they have the choice to react to it in whatever way that they want to. And I used to be a pretty reactive person.
Really?
Like, when things would happen to me, I would react in, sometimes angry ways, sometimes not. I guess not the best way. But then I thought about it one day, and I was like, I have a choice here to react and be angry and let this thing affect and ruin my day, or I have the choice to just not react to it and just not give a fuck. Like, who cares if somebody cuts you off? Why would you care about that? Is that really a thing that should make you angry? You're on your way to work and somebody cuts you off and you're like, ah, fuck, blah. You're screaming shit, you're bashing on the steering wheel, you're fucking, you angrily turn into the other lane and you try to pass them up and you try to cut them off because, like, fuck you, man, you cut me off, I cut you off back. And then you get to work and you're just pissed off, and then you tell all your friends that you had this shitty experience and this is how your morning started. It was just fucking stupid. And then it just brings their day down, and now, you come into work with just angry and aggression, and then you tell this stuff to the people around you, and then they feed off of that. They feed off of the negative energy or the negativity, and then they might give you a story like, oh, well, I remember this fucking asshole that did this thing to me. And It's instead you could just they could cut you off and you could just be like, haha, okay, and then not let it affect you, and then you could go to work and be happy and not let it ruin your fucking day. Like
Yeah.
it's a very easy thing to do because when you think about it, like, does it really matter? Like, why? Who gives a shit? You're probably never gonna see this person ever again in your entire life, and you're driving a car. Like, what? Why are you so mad? What? Like, what is the negative of somebody cutting you off? Like, how does it negatively impact your life? It doesn't make sense to me. It's one of those things where I'm just like, why? I I have been upset about it before, but then I thought about it. I'm like, why the fuck does this upset me? It's such a stupid thing to be upset about, you know?
You know, as this is just a very small example of kind of the different situations and scenarios that one would find themselves in to be angry about, or let that anger control them. Um, I drive for a living. I'm in a vehicle, mostly a big ass truck, for 12 hours a day, and
Yeah.
then the commute to and from and around whatever. So I'm in a vehicle for probably the better part of 14 hours a day. Just as an example, I find it weird that people can't. I'm gonna say think for themselves for just a minute and kind of not let a spritz of anger overwhelm them. You know?
Yeah.
Um, yes, has it taken some thought from me to make it happen? But it's a thing. You know, it might be a momentary thing, but you keep it to yourself, share it with yourself, and then move the fuck on.
Right.
You don't need to hold on to this shit. And if somebody makes you mad when you stop at the gas station, if somebody doesn't like your shoes, whatever the case may be, like you just said, I mean, I think the biggest fact of the matter is you're probably never going to see that person again.
Yeah.
And that's what's the
Most
greatest
likely.
thing about it. Yeah.
And even if you do, it's not like you're gonna see them again and you're like, oh, it's that fucking
Yeah.
asshole.
You piece of shit.
Like,
You're not going to remember that.
no, and you, unless you're upset again when you run into this person, like, you're not gonna have angry feelings for them because you're gonna be like, oh, yeah, that guy was a dick, and then you're gonna move on with your life, or you should.
This this sounds like such a complicated process when you really drag it out and put it into words. But I can't help but just mention how easy it is to take a scenario, and I encourage everybody to just take a split second after you get so mad,
Yeah.
and just be like, I'm gonna fucking breathe for a second. I'm gonna be upset for a second, but I'm never gonna see that motherfucker again.
Well, here's the thing. I'll let you in on a little insight.
Ooh,
So
I like a foot in the door.
when I was younger, I used to have severe anger issues.
You've mentioned that.
Like 0 to 100. No, not even 100. Like 200. Like blackout, fucking, just unnecessarily, overwhelmingly angry with the littlest things. And I I chose to not express that anymore. I chose to not be like that anymore. And for me, it happened relatively quickly. It was pretty much an overnight thing where I was like, "Oh shit, I don't want to be this person anymore, and I want to change." And so I've changed ever since. But inside of my head is a fucking war zone. Man, let me tell you, every time that something happens that bothers me, it is full on World War II in my fucking head. Like, just the most brutal fucking war zone that you could probably imagine happens inside of my head, and then I just let it play out. I keep it inside of my head, and I run through all of these different things, and some of it's like crazy. Like, I am playing in my head 6 ways that I could fucking end your life, and the whole in the entire process from start to finish, and the satisfaction that I'd probably get from it. Um, so I let that play out inside of my head without actually physically reacting to it. And then once it's done, I'm just like, yeah, haha, okay, like that. I got it out. That's it. I've thought the thought, I've done the thing, and now we're good. And and it's like it's one of those things where for me, I sometimes I think about if I were to physically react to this thing, that it's just so unnecessary. Like the amount of anger that these things bring versus what is actually happening, like what the actual situation is. Someone does something that just gets on your nerves, and you decide to beat the shit out of them. Like that's very excessive for what happened. When really you could just let it kind of roll past you, maybe think about it in your head for a little bit, and then just move on with your life and be like, yeah, acknowledge that this thing bothered me, but I don't need to hurt this person. I don't need to yell at this person. I don't need to freak out. I don't need to make a huge deal out of it, because then right after you make a huge deal out of it, you're going to feel like a fucking moron, because you're going to be like, really? I got that upset about this little thing? That's absurd. And then you just feel like a fucking moron. And then the people around you are like, this guy's a fucking loose cannon. Like, watch out for him. And it's just a huge turnoff for people.
So, I have to I have to say, like, approaching it from the complete other side, and I'm not sure why. I haven't established why I think this way, but my thought has always been from the other side of that. Um, I don't ever start with how much I want to fucking hurt this person. I do think about how much I could,
Yeah.
the possibilities of how this could go if I were to approach it differently, but
Right.
but never like how I want it. Doesn't matter. I for some reason more so. I'm not going to use the word fear, but I for sure don't ever want to deal with the consequences of half the thoughts that I have.
No.
Like more so than anything else. Like I'll be completely fucking blunt with you. If I thought that beating the ever living shit out of my neighbor was gonna be the end result of me getting my point across, would I do it? I'd approach it, but I know goddamn well that that's not gonna be the end of it.
No, it's not. And I had a lot of those experiences when I was younger, where I would hurt people so bad physically. I can't even tell you. Just unnecessarily.
You've hurt people.
Yeah.
I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing at the thought because
No.
I know you now.
Right. Yeah. Every time that I tell people this, they're like, "What the fuck? Are you really?" No, you must be talking about somebody else. No, I used to be very violent and very angry, and people would do stuff to me. Sometimes I would just start fights with people, and then I would hurt them, and without fail, every single time that it was done, and they were on the ground and they were bleeding, or I hurt their feelings. Sometimes it wasn't physical. Sometimes it was just emotional. I used to tear the fuck out of people mentally, like just rip them to shreds, and make them feel like such a lower than pond scum of a human. And every single time, right after, like within seconds of this happening, I would regret it, and I would feel bad, and then I would calm down because I just unleashed the beast, and I would be like, they did not deserve that for whatever the fuck that they did. And it wasn't until I decided that I didn't want to be like that anymore that it stopped. But just having those memories inside of my head is like, and if you think about it, like if you take a step back and you think about it, and you're one of those people that thinks that aggression is going to solve a problem, just really really take a step back and think about that. But whether it's physical, it's emotional, it's mental, whatever, how in any way, shape, or form, somebody does something to you, it makes you mad, you beat the shit out of them. What is that gonna solve?
Right.
Like realistically,
In this day and age.
what is it going to solve?
Right.
Because you're gonna hurt this person. They may or may not have to go through like medical stuff, treatment, get help, and then your issue still isn't resolved. You might feel better like a bigger man or something because like you're the fucking alpha and you show this person what's up. But no, it just makes their life worse and it makes you look like a fucking piece of shit. Like it doesn't solve anything. The thing that they did you to make you angry, it doesn't just go away.
I could tell you one thing that's gonna make me feel like a piece of shit. Paying for that fucking medical bill for the next 10 years because it was court mandated.
That's what I'm saying.
The jail time, the work recoup.
Like
You're gonna pick up those pieces.
it's just not worth it, man.
It's fucking not.
And a lot of the things that trigger people are just so small and minute that it's like it doesn't fucking matter, man. It's a minute, it's 30 seconds, it's 5 minutes of your life, your whole entire life. The hours and hours and days and years of your fucking life. And this thing that happened 15 seconds of that entire huge long process, it doesn't matter.
It really, like, on the grand scale, it fucking really doesn't.
Now, I will say that there are two things that still to this day and will probably always trigger me and make me go from 0 to 1,000. But I don't react to these things in violent ways. It's more so you could just fuck off and yeah, I just don't care about you anymore. And those things are when people tell me what to do and when people talk down to me. If either of those things happen, and not only to me, but to other people too. When I see it happening to other people, and when it happens to me, I go from I go into this blackout rage, but instead of acting on it, I just say, okay, I no longer fucking care about you as a person, and you can go eat shit. And then I just move on with my life. I just don't associate with that person anymore. I no longer have any respect. I have no time of day for these people, because to me, if you're somebody that's going to do something like that to somebody else, if that's just your complex, if that's your personality, if that's who you are, is belittling other people and demanding things like anything, we're all fucking people, man. We're all the same. We all deserve the same amount of respect for each other. And we all deserve the same kindness, the same treatment. And if you're just gonna be like walking around on your high horse, well then you are in fact a shitty person.
Man, it's so fucking bizarre to me when I come across a regular ass person in a regular ass scenario who makes demands. And it's not, you're not in your workplace, which is barely justifiable.
Right.
And you're not in any kind of scenario where you would be under somebody. But when you're in a regular ass place and somebody decides that they're going to start making demands and this is how it's going to be and that kind of shit, that is definitely one thing that twists me a little bit. Because when that shit happens, I get defiant, man.
Dude, it's so easy. Here's a reason. This is a very stupid example, but this is how easy it is to just not do that to people. Instead of going, "Hey, you sweep the floor," you could just go, "Can you sweep the floor?
Would you mind?
Will you?
Yeah.
Can you do that for me, please?" How fucking hard is it to just add a fucking word in there, man? Change the fucking whatever the fuck it's called. Question marks. I don't even know what the fuck those things are called.
When the dynamic of the situation is shifted from a demand to a request, I gotta tell you, it changes my fucking attitude.
Yeah.
Wholeheartedly.
I can't tell you, man. I absolutely hate. It fuels me with rage when people tell me what to do. It could be the smallest thing, and I'm immediately like, nope, you can go fuck yourself. Like, just eat dicks, eat shit, fucking drowned in a pond. I don't give a fuck, and I just won't do it. I absolutely will not do it. I don't give a fuck what the circumstance is. Whether you're my boss, I don't care. Eat shit. I'll fucking quit then. Don't fucking tell me what to do. How hard is it for you to just ask?
Right.
Chances are I'm gonna do it anyway. I'm not gonna say no, but don't fucking walk around demanding me to do shit like you're some fucking superior being. Like, we're all fucking humans, man. I don't care what position you are or how high you think you are and whatever. Just be fucking respectful, man. Be kind to people.
Well,
Like,
it blows my mind that people wouldn't consider doing that day to day.
it's crazy.
It's absolutely fucking asinine.
I can't. Nowhere in my brain have I can't even fathom talking to somebody like that. And there's probably people listening that like, oh, it's not really that big of a deal. Yeah, well, yeah, fuck you. It is. It sucks. It's disrespectful. It's shitty. And if you're the kind of person to do that, well, stop, because it upsets people, and it's not right. And it's not fair.
You know, I for somebody like my job is, I don't want to say it's like fuck, I don't even know how to start this. But like I'm a laborer. I do things for people day in and day out.
Right.
It's my job. It's what I do. I move their cars around. I move them to places that they need to go. It's, and a lot of the time, I come across people, and I come across people that are in a position of struggle. That is part of my job, day in and day out. Whether it was an accident, whether the car is broken, whatever the case may be, doesn't matter. And it breaks my heart, like, as a human, because I come across people that have a broken car, and luckily their fucking insurance is willing to pay for it to go to the shop that it needs to go to get it fixed. And I'll show up to a house sometimes a little quicker than what the people anticipated, and the people won't be there. Or I'll show up in a parking lot to a broke down vehicle, and people won't be there. And I'll call them, and they panic. They fucking panic. And for some reason, the only thought that goes through my fucking brain is how beaten these people feel right now.
Yeah.
Because I've had people, if I show up to a parking lot and I go to pick up this person's car, I've had people panic on the phone. Like, full-blown panic attack over the phone. Well, they told me it was going to be an hour, and I'm just not going to be able to be there, and just fucking lose their mind. And all I can think about is these people have been handled by every bit of the situation.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's just like we're constantly at the whim and the mercy of what everybody else wants, simply because we have to be.
Right.
And it's bullshit.
Yeah. And it's one of those things that I just want. I don't give a fuck who you are, man. We're all the same. You could be a fucking homeless person, or you could be the fucking president. It doesn't matter, man. If you're in a position of authority, like you're a teacher, you're a police officer, you're a lawyer, whatever the fucking case is, you're still human, man. Nothing gives you the right to treat other people like they're less than you, ever, in any situation, ever.
Right. Why would you not want to work with your fellow human being? Just a little bit.
It blows my mind, man. I don't.
How much of a dickhead are you gonna feel like I don't really know exactly how your job works or how your deadlines work, but if somebody didn't meet a deadline for you and it was the end of the project, this is probably not making sense because I don't know shit,
No, you're good.
but and they didn't meet at the end result where everybody was supposed to meet, and you were like, well, project's incomplete because you didn't do your side of it. I'm out.
Right.
Bounce.
Yeah.
You, like, the part that blows my mind is how somebody could do that and then not feel anything after the fact.
Yeah.
Like, you just walked away from somebody's whole ass expectation because you wanted to be an asshole.
Yeah.
No, doesn't
Yeah.
work. Doesn't work for me.
You know, it's one thing if somebody's treating you like shit. Well, then, yeah, fuck them. I mean, whatever.
Yeah, if somebody's treating you like shit, but
You know.
if you're gonna be on the shit end of it and be the asshole,
Right.
I don't understand how to do that.
Yeah. No. I can't even begin to think about what it's like to be a dick. Like it's just not. It's not in my chemistry. It's not in my. No part of me just has the desire to be an asshole to anybody for any reason ever.
Right.
Sometimes I like to have fun. I do things that are fun. I like to joke around, and I like to do things that bring me joy because I think it's funny. You know, like an example, going back to the driving. If somebody's like riding my ass, I like to fuck with them because I think it's funny.
Just let off the gas.
Yeah, yeah, or something like that.
Right.
But my intention isn't to be a dick. It's wow, this guy's a douche, and so I'm just gonna have fun because it makes me giggle. You know what I mean? Like, and so, but just being mean to people and hurting people, like I can't be a scumbag if you fucking paid me to be. I just can't. But there's people out there that are just scummy people, and they know that they're scummy people, and they just do it because whether it's a job or it's just that whatever, it's just ingrained in them. But I've been offered a lot of jobs, and I've met a lot of people, and I've had a lot of opportunities to just scam people and fuck with people and just overall really just hurt people, take advantage of people, be it, and I just can't. I absolutely cannot because the my morality is so overwhelming that if I know that I'm doing something intentionally, I am choosing to do something that is going to affect somebody in a negative way, it makes me want to throw up. It actually hurts me so bad to even think about it. It just like it makes me want to fucking I don't know.
Well, it's like I can kind of continue on. I like the karma and the energy, the thought process after the fact. Just like I want none of it. None of that negative bullshit that comes along with it.
No, it just sucks.
And it blows my mind that there are people that are capable of doing even the smallest degree of it and then walking away with no thought.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if there's no thought, but if that's the case, then it fucking hurts even more to think about.
It's like sociopaths or something, man.
Right, that's what it fucking feel. I'm like, how do you just walk away from that with no thought, no feeling?
I don't know, man.
But I couldn't do it. I don't want to do it. I am trying to accomplish too many fucking good things in my life in too many different degrees. I firmly believe that, being an asshole to somebody on purpose is not going to affect me positively.
Well, even people that you don't particularly like, what's the harm in still just being kind to that person?
You don't have to be their friend,
Right.
but you don't have to be a fucking asshole to them.
Right. Yeah, you could be civil, you could be kind. If they don't like you, okay, great. But that doesn't mean that you have to be a dick. Just be you. Just be. You don't have to change yourself and just be fucking like. out of character because somebody upset you and pissed you off. It doesn't matter, man. It just sucks. I feel like this is one of those things where it's so easy to me. It might not be easy to everybody, but in my head, it's so easy to just not do these things, to not be negative, to not be a dick, to not get angry at certain things. And if more people did that, think of how much smoother and easier and friendlier the entire world would be if people could just learn to control themselves and not intentionally and full knowing just be a fucking dick to people. Like, if you're one of those person that just wants to intentionally say things to somebody to hurt their feelings, what if you just didn't do that? Then it wouldn't hurt them. They wouldn't have to tell other people about it. It wouldn't hurt the other people that care about them, and it would avoid so much negativity. And it's so easy to just not be a fucking asshole. I don't understand why people have the need to just be dicks. It doesn't make any sense to me.
At the core of what you're saying, what I hear is something that I've always truly believed, and I'm not sure if this is kind of where the end result lies for you, but for me, I feel like if people on the other end of the spectrum, if we could just figure out how to work together, like as a whole, I'm not talking about just like a labor force or anything like that, but I'm talking about like mentally and in a thought process, fucking work together on a day to day. Don't you think, like you just said, don't you think things would be 10 times fucking smoother?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Life would be easier for all of us. I mean, there's in just the state of Arizona alone 7 million motherfuckers. Don't you think if 7 million people could coincide a little bit better, that things wouldn't go a little bit smoother?
Yeah.
That's a high expectation. I understand that, but you know what I'm saying.
Well, it is, but why?
All at the very bottom of what I'm suggesting is if everyone were to put a little bit more effort into not being an asshole to a random person, if you did that for one random person a day, you'd see a difference.
You know, I have this thought a lot where, most of the time when when adults are act a certain way, it's due to some sort of trauma that they were exposed to when growing up, whether it was their family or friends or a situation or whatever. It's like I don't know the statistics, but I believe that most of like people that rape people and murder people and commit crimes and act a certain way, like people that are dicks or people that are abusive or whatever, it is a direct result from how they were raised and their home situation, the things that they were exposed to, how they were brought up, that kind of stuff. And so, to me, I think about a lot where, like, what could have fucking happened to these people to make them like this, and for them to not look at that, look at their behavior, look at what they're doing, and want to change that, and then try to figure out a way to change that. Because me, I had a you name it, man. I the whole spectrum of shit happened to me when I was a kid. Everything that people say is what made them the way that they are, the way that their parents treated them, the way that they were raised, their environment, all that stuff. Pretty much all of it has happened to me when I was a kid. I had a very violent home situation. I had a lot of stepdads that were very abusive towards my mom and me and my brother. There's been like the sexual abuse. I've never had a dad. I've never met my real dad. My mom has never been super wealthy, so I grew up a very poor lifestyle. There's there there's so many things that have happened to me as a kid, and they're like even into my young adulthood, like as a teenager or elementary school. Like I was bullied in school when I was a teenager. All of the people that I cared about and I gave myself to, and I was selfless and I befriended, they all fucked me over. I've been cheated on in every relationship I've been in besides my current one with my wife. I I've had a lot of people use me for certain things. I mean, you fucking name it, man. I've been all over the spectrum and being fucked by people, and yet I am the way that I am. It's been I every excuse that people use of why they are shitty people or why they do certain things. I've been there. It's happened to me before, and I just decided that I don't want to be like those people that did those things to me. I got the reason that I used to have really bad anger issues is because my home life was so violent. My mom and all of her boyfriends and my stepdads and whatever, they would always argue with each other, yell at each other, physically fight each other, physically hurt me. It was very toxic, and I firmly believe that that is why I developed these anger issues. But I decided that I don't want to be that person. I I got that trauma from these people, so why would I want to be like these people? And so after just taking a second to be like, holy shit, I'm turning into this person. Uh, and also my real dad is an abusive alcoholic, so I'm really glad I never met him. But I decided that I didn't want to be like these other people. I was turning into them, and why would I want to do that? I could have. I could have just chosen to be an abusive, fucking controlling, angry piece of shit who just hated everybody. And but what kind of life is that to live? So I came to the realization that this was happening to me, and I wanted it to change, and I wanted it to stop, and I didn't want to turn into this person because I'm fucking better than that, man. You're better than these shitty ass fucking people that you come in contact with. And so I was like, nope, I'm not gonna do that. And then I just did it. I didn't become these people. I didn't do these things, and it was all my choice. Nobody swayed my decision. Like I, it's just crazy, man. Like I, I get that things happen. I get that real things happen to people when they're younger, and not only younger, at any time. I get that things happen to people and it's traumatic, and it causes trust issues. It causes violence. It causes whatever from these traumatic experiences. But they they don't have to completely control you and alter your life and who you are. I mean, there are ways to fix it. There are ways to cope with it. There are ways to overcome it. And it just because this thing happened to you doesn't mean that that thing has to define who you are and who you're gonna be forever. You don't have to treat your kids the same way. You don't have to treat other people the same way. Just be better. Realize what you're doing that's wrong, and then find a way to fix it. And either just decide not to do it and then just really work on doing that, like really hard to not be a piece of shit, or seek help or something. But there's ways that people can change, and it's really not that hard. It's harder for some than others, sure, but it's not impossible for anybody. And it, I mean, why wouldn't you want to just be better, you know?
Shit, man.
Yeah.
You're good. You're good. Just I was following. I was just fucking letting that one go. God damn. I can't. I can't speculate on half of that, but I'm goddamn impressed at this point. I will say, if there's something that I took away from everything you just kind of described and went through, I without really being too discriminatory towards other situations, because I'm not. I don't feel like if your capabilities have led you to that decision, that you are now able to think for yourself and think about situations on a play-by-play basis, so to speak, and you choose not to be, you know, what your past has driven for you, which I think is the biggest part of who people are is their past, right?
Yeah.
That past trauma kind of drives you in a certain direction. Um, I think if there's anything to be taken from everything that you just said was that it doesn't have to be that way.
No, it doesn't.
And you've made that choice explicitly to be better than the path that was made for you.
And I decided in high school, which is probably the hardest time for people to make those kind of decisions, because when you're in high school, you're trying to figure out who the fuck you are, who you want to be, who you want to surround yourself with, what kind of
That and being told who you're supposed to be.
right, yeah. And so I don't know, man. It's just
That's fucking amazing.
there's more shit too that has happened to me. I promise. It's pretty much been all of it. There's been drugs. I was kicked out before I was 18. I was couch hopping. I mean, you fucking name it, man.
Right.
I've been
the,
there.
The list goes on. Right.
I've done it, and it can be better. You can be better. The situations can be better. You know.
I think that's the most important part to take away from that is, I mean, that was a pretty good polarization comparatively. There's a lot of people that are going to be able to relate with a lot of that stuff that you just mentioned. And I think it's important to keep pressing on that, the fact that you can be better.
Yeah.
You know, I'm going to be honest with you. I feel kind of like I don't have the right to say that because we are two different entities, two different pasts, and I don't have nearly the negative experiences that you have.
Yeah.
So I don't feel like I should be the one saying you could be better, but I think that's what you're trying to get across.
Yeah. When I say that I had a fucked up childhood, I mean I literally all of it, man. It I I will say though that I had two or three, sometimes more. I had a handful of really supportive, loving, awesome people in my life, and even my mom. Like she wasn't the greatest mom, but she did good for what she had. I mean, she has a lot of mental stuff, and you know we didn't have the most ideal childhood growing up, but at least she tried. She didn't abandon us. She didn't want these things to start happening. She has her own mental battles to deal with, which is the reasoning for all of like the abusive boyfriends and husbands and her, you know, her struggle with working and like depression and all that stuff. I mean, she has her own shit going on, and so it kind of just all of that fell into my childhood, and it wasn't super great, but at least she was there sometimes when we needed her, and she tried her best. But like my brothers, for instance, they were always there. My grandparents, my uncle, like I had people that are just 100% love and just caring and just incredible people. Like I consider my grandparents my parents because I was probably with them more than my mom as a kid, and they are a huge influence of like who I am today and why I want to be this person, because they're just fucking incredible people. But it if you I've also been on the other end where there were times by choice that I wasn't really interacting with any of my family, and all of my friends and the people that I was surrounding myself with just used me and fucked me over. And no matter what group of friends I found, or how close I thought we were, they just shoved a broomstick up my ass, and they were like, "No, you fuck you, you're a piece of shit, you fucking die or whatever." And so I some of it was by choice that I didn't have those people at those times, but I've been in the situations where like you just don't really have a support group. And I know it's hard, but again, just because it's hard doesn't mean it's not possible.
So I think, in my personal opinion, kind of what you just dabbled in, kind of struck a nerve for me, and I think it's a good, it's something very positive to acknowledge. So you mentioned kind of everything that you've been through and everything that you've gone through, which is a lot of crazy shit. Um, how long were your grandparents in the picture?
They are still in the picture.
So from the very beginning.
Yeah.
So I think that adds to your unique perspective, and I think it's very helpful to kind of who you've grown into be.
Yeah.
So you got to see, definitely got to see the polar opposites from what it sounds like.
Yeah, there was definitely like they are just all loving, caring, selfless, everything. And so
Did you have that throughout?
when I was with them, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So everything at home with my mom and everything was just chaotic and unhealthy and violent and just bad.
Mm-hmm.
And then with them everything was just as good as it can be. It was incredible. So I grew up having both sides of it. Just this perfect ideal life, and then this awful chaotic fucking nightmare on the side.
You know, oh fuck, man, that brings me two completely different fucking emotions. Like, growing up, not necessarily as a child, but maybe, once you're approaching teenage years and into the teenage years, you are gonna absorb both perspectives pretty heavily. I feel like I can't really speculate too much because I'm still trying to figure that shit out for myself. But I feel like you're just gonna absorb. You're learning and you're absorbing at that point.
Yeah.
You're not really sure what we're supposed to do with this shit at that point. Um, so that's fucking crazy. Because as a grown ass adult, I feel if at the age that I'm at now, I feel like if I had both perspectives, then I have anxiety about it. Eh, I don't know why that doesn't make sense, but it doesn't make sense to me. Like, growing up seeing both ends of it, you're just absorbing.
Yeah.
So you're not really necessarily reacting, you're just absorbing how things are how things are. You know what I mean? You
Yeah.
don't know how to react. You're just absorbing how things are in your life. But as an adult, you're getting one polar opposite to another. So you're in my mind like switching from one opposite to the other. That thought alone like makes me irritated.
Well, yeah. See, for me, it was
This is why I need therapy.
I what was happening to me as a kid. I would say that yeah, absorbing it was definitely part of it, but also reacting and living it was also a thing. Like my stepdad or whoever the fuck my mom brought home would yell at me and I would yell back. They would hit me and I would hit back. They would be beating the shit out of my mom, so I would fucking jump on them and try to get them off.
So do you think that in those instances that understanding that there's a different way that things should be affected you? Like affected your mentality?
Yeah.
Like, were you that aware?
Not then, because then I chose to go down like the more rebellious path. I mean, what went along with my mom not being like a super great mom is that when I was like 12, I could be gone for 3 weeks and she wouldn't even text me to ask me where I was. So
Jesus
she
Christ.
her rule was basically just like, be safe and don't do meth. Like, and so I would be gone for extended periods of time, and she wouldn't even be curious why, or ask questions. But then at the same time, I could call her and say like I'm really drunk, uh, I'm not gonna be able to come home or something like that. I'm gonna stay here tonight, or like, can you pick me up or something? And then she would come pick me up sometimes, but in the times that I really needed it, she would come grab me. But what went along with that is that I kind of had this freedom to create my own story, to
Mm.
create my own path. I've basically been choosing my own adventure since I was a kid, and because I didn't really have that guidance, I had it from my grandparents, but the times that I spent with my mom, which was like a lot of like going through school and stuff, because we always lived pretty close to the schools, and so um, I was with her through all of that. But during that period of time, like I wasn't going to school because I couldn't be fucking asked to be there. I just hated it. I didn't want to go. I was staying out late. Sometimes I wouldn't come home. I was hanging out with whatever type of person I was hanging out with. I was doing whatever the fuck I wanted to do. I had this freedom, and it was all on me to choose what was right and what was wrong, and if I wanted to do certain things. Like, I've been out and I've done drugs and I've stolen things and I've committed, like, I've broken laws and I've done this stuff, but with me being able to do all of that, it led me to the conclusion that that's not the kind of person that I want to be. I don't want to do drugs. I don't want to be a fucking. I don't want to break the law. I don't want to go to jail. I don't want to be a shitty person. And so I had a lot of challenges and trying to just like figure out what I wanted to do, and like, pretty much the normal thing that like high schoolers go through, but mine was a little bit more lenient because I didn't really have anyone telling me like, you need to be home at this time, you need to do your homework, you need to not do these things. I was kind of just left to do whatever I wanted and make my own decisions and decide what I thought was right or wrong, and kind of mold my own personality and my own future from all of that. But then, like, when I would spend time with my grandparents, it was like no cussing. There was no doing any of this bad stuff. I felt comfort. I felt loved. They always made us breakfast and tucked us in, and just were, they're like, oh, you need to be picked up at 4 a.m., like, I'll come get you. I want you to be safe. They're like, can you try to be home pretty early? If not, that's okay, but just like let us know. And if we weren't home by a certain time, they would call us or text us and be like, are you okay? What's going on? Like, they let us have the freedom, but that was backed behind like, we trust you, we love you, we want you to be safe, that kind of stuff, rather than just, yeah, go on and do your own thing, just like, good luck.
You know what's strange of all the things that you just kind of described. And by the way, we are gonna have another episode, and we're gonna delve into more of that shit
Sure.
because, goddamn,
Yeah.
I was not privy until tonight. So I'm thankful for that. So thank you for sharing all that. But they would call you and text you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hmm.
So it just there's a slight age gap there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if I was down the street, literally down the street, and I saw my light flashing at my house, then
Ah.
that was my cue to finish what you're fucking doing
Right.
and maybe figure it out.
Yeah, yeah.
But
Mine was really like, yeah. Whenever you decide to come home, you can come home. And so most of the time, I just didn't.
damn,
Yeah,
that's that was kind of funny. That was fun for me.
yeah,
Just that last example. But I well, I want to hear shit, man.
yeah.
You might have just set yourself up for some stories.
It's a lot. Well,
Because
yeah. I have a lot of them.
apparently,
Yeah,
so
I've
we
had
just
I've had a very eventful life.
we just got to dabble in a little bit of you, and I'm excited that I just got to hear all that, and I'm excited to hear more.
Yeah,
Fuck, man. So that's all I can say is fuck.
yeah.
Goddamn.
I know. Yeah, it's a lot, and it's so funny because people meet me now and they're like friends with me now, and they would have no idea if I didn't tell them. Like they would have
No.
no idea that any of this stuff was part of me as a human if I didn't say anything.
Well, that's what this is. This look on my face.
Yeah,
That's called shell shock.
yeah.
It's
It
because I didn't have a fucking clue.
it surprises the fuck out of everybody, man. Because I just really there's no BS. I'm not faking it. I don't just put on a different personality when I go out and when I'm around people. It's just who I am now, and nobody would know that I had this fucking dark, demented past and the crazy shit that goes on in my head
Hmm.
or whatever. If I didn't say it, they see me for who I am now, and the things that I do now and my behaviors now and how I treat people, and
I
you know,
I have so much want to delve so much more into that. So if it's all right with you,
yeah,
I'm excited to.
sure.
Um,
I'm an open book.
yeah, you keep saying that.
Yeah.
I'm a skeptical guy. All right, I don't trust very easily. But I think you just opened the book for yourself. You're like, listen, bitch, we're gonna figure this out.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, this is why it would be nice to get like questions, responses, and feedback from everybody because
oh my god, I feel like in my heart, like kind of what we were talking about before we started recording was one of the things that I want to accomplish was if people feel like they can connect or relate with somebody specifically on here, I want to have that open availability of direct communication,
yeah,
you know? And I feel like, especially now, after everything that you've dabbled in, that would be more important than ever.
yeah.
And I would love for it to get to that point. Um, I'm, I'm kind of putting you out there,
No, it's okay.
uh,
I'm available
but
if anybody needs me. You know.
well, I would do all the organizing, but I just, god damn, if somebody can connect to you on that kind of level, and they want to talk to you, then by all means, you know.
Yeah, it's a heavy thing, man.
It is super heavy, and I can't imagine how you feel like internally about it.
It it wasn't easy, but I mean, now that I know what all of this stuff has led to now, like what my past traumas have caused, the different behaviors and the different aspects of who I am now, I understand that, and I understand how to not let it control me and to not let it just be a burden on my life. Like I don't think about this stuff on a daily basis or anything.
Really?
Although like there was a lot of traumatic experiences, they might as well like not even have existed really. Like I don't give a fuck about any of them, to be honest with you.
Can I be completely transparent?
Yeah.
So I'm so skeptical, not just of you in general, but in general, not just of you, but in general. There you go. Um, that if you were to tell me that this is just who you are on the daily,
Hmm.
then my first honest to god thought is he's fucking lying to me.
Right.
Like I don't know. I feel so trained by the typical responses that I'm like, I don't know. He's got it down to look like he's calm.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it?
It's strange.
Yeah.
I want so bad to believe, like, you know what it is to relate to you on some kind of level. I've wanted for so long to believe in all the good that I see in people. I've wanted for so long to believe that there is this overwhelming good in everybody that I meet. And
Yeah.
probably 90% of the time it bites me in the ass. So, in my brain, I'm like, well, looks cool. Let's wait till it fails.
Well, I I trust everybody until they give me a reason not to.
Yeah, I do too, but
And from
this is why he's smarter than me.
from being fucked over so many times, I've gathered a lot of like intuition. Like typically when you meet somebody, you can read them like a book and just know what kind of person they are. Typically, not all of the time, but typically within the first couple minutes of talking to somebody. So now that I have that, well, I can more quickly make that decision whether this is a shitty person or not, or this is a liar, or this is this kind of person, rather than somebody that I want to trust. And but I have no reason not to trust anybody. I mean, if I don't know them and they haven't done anything to me, it's not fair for me to not trust them because I don't know anything about them. That I
Well,
don't have a reason not to trust them.
I never thought I'd meet anybody more trusting than me.
Yeah,
We're gonna dabble in that one another time.
sure. Yeah,
Um, God damn, man, you fucking impress me.
yeah. I might be unique. I might be the oddball,
I, my,
but
I think my last plug was appropriate. You were put on blast for having infinite wisdom, and I feel like that should have been this episode. Because goddamn, whew. Well, you've twisted me up. I got a bunch of emotions. Is there
Yeah.
anything that you want to plug?
uh,
Yourself? Anybody? Anything?
no, not yet.
Not yet? Okay. We're gonna work on that.
Yeah.
We gotta work on some marketing shit.
I mean, like I have socials and all that shit, but I don't know. I just don't feel like it's time yet. But if you guys do want to reach out to me or us for anything, just use the tools that you have. Email us, leave comments, leave responses, send us a letter.
A letter?
Sure,
Jesus Christ, a letter?
why not?
It's a good thing I check my mail. No, once things go a certain direction, maybe we can, we can derive certain emails and point things in the right direction.
Yeah,
Get your own shit going.
yeah, for sure.
But, but until then, fuck, I'm overwhelmed.
Yeah, it's kind of a big load to drop on people.
That was a good one.
Yeah.
As always, like you said, comment where you are. If you have a way to like, comment, subscribe, anything on whatever platform it is that you're using, shoot us a line. And if not, then questions, comments, wants, needs, me versus me info@gmail.com. We're on the Insta, Facebook, YouTube, everything.
Mhm.
Anywhere you want to listen. Spotify. Don't hesitate. I don't give a shit if you just want to say hi. Drop a line.
Yeah, click all the things.
Click all the things.
Love you guys.
We love you.